Hello, everyone. I'm Roxana, and today I'm excited to introduce Coach Bronson Dant, someone I know personally and admire greatly. Bronson didn't begin his fitness journey until his late 30s, at which point he was 70 pounds overweight and dealing with health issues. But fast forward to now, at 51, he's in the best shape of his life and spends his time helping others do the same. Bronson's message is about more than just appearance. It's about what your body can do. Bronson, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We've talked a number of times. I love your Facebook group. One of the most active, engaged groups out there. I think it's fantastic. I wish there were more groups out there that were like that, as well as I think you do a really good job moderating it and kind of keeping things accessible and accepting and just kind of letting people learn at their own pace in there. That's good.
Yes, actually just today we had a little discussion that had a little uproar. But let's talk about your journey. You didn't start until your late 30s. And I think that's so inspiring because most people think, well, it's too late for me. So what sparked the change for you to go from 70 pounds overweight to becoming Coach Bronson, who now helps others?
That's a very long story if we talk about all the different pieces. In general, it starts with me realizing that I was not doing as well as I thought I was doing. I kind of came to a realization in my mid to late 30s that I wasn't as in shape as I thought I was. I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was. I wasn't setting the example of being physically independent for my children the way I thought I was. There's a lot of things about my identity as who I thought I was based on where I was 20 years ago prior, I guess I should say, 15 years, not even 15 years, right? Because I would have been 15 then, so 10 years prior. It's hard to think in smaller terms 20 years ago. When in my mid-20s, everywhere from graduating high school, being active in high school, joining the military, getting out of the military, so much was different about my physical condition. When I was confronted with how different it was, something had to change. I had to do something about it. I couldn't justify where I was, number one, knowing where I had been, and then also knowing that what the impact of my life was at the time. And I had to do something about it. So I decided that, getting in shape was the first thing I was going to do. Little did I realize that 15 years later, I would learn that fitness was a small part of the puzzle. Nutrition was a small part of the puzzle. Mindset was a small part of the puzzle, and that I wasn't trying to lose weight. I was trying to improve my quality of life, which is a much broader, deeper, more complex quest than what I thought it was when I first got started.
It comes all together. It's not just a one size fits all.
Yes.
Okay. Late 30s is not very late in my terms. But people who are older, like my age, bordering on 60 actually, or bordering on 70, they would say, oh, well, I don't have much time left. I might as well enjoy it. What would you tell them? It's
I don't
not
understand.
Late.
Yes, I don't understand that mindset. That's akin to, I have a car that I love a lot, but I haven't gotten a tune-up in several years. It's got 200,000 miles on it. I might as well just let it fall apart instead of getting the oil changed. Like, you still need to drive the car. You still want to enjoy the things you do with the car. You still want it to get you where you want to go. Like, why don't you want to take care of your body? Why wouldn't you want to take care of yourself? The idea that there's some perfect pinnacle of fitness or health that has to be attained in order for any progress towards improved health or fitness is pointless if the end goal can't be reached. Doesn't make sense to me. Anything that's better than where you are today is better than where you are today. And
Right.
that can happen at any age, at any level of experience, in any condition. So that whole it's kind of a defeatist mentality that just doesn't really make sense to me. You can make improvements if you're 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old. It doesn't make a difference. I don't care if you're 100 years old. There's something you can do today that will help you improve your physical independence immediately. And that's what this is about. So there is no such thing as too old. My mom didn't get started until she was 60. She's my favorite story when it comes to age being a limitation. She didn't get started, never entered a gym in her life until she was 60 years old. She reversed osteoporosis. Her favorite thing to do now at 70 is deadlift, squat, and exercise and lift weights and eat meat. That's what she does. She loves it. She has completely changed her life around. The expectation of deterioration as she ages past 70 is nowhere near what it would have been without this experience. Watching her, when we watched my grandparents, her parents pass away over several years ago, over a process that took several years of them just deteriorating, falling apart, and becoming not the same people that I remember growing up as a kid. That expectation, it doesn't exist for her. I want her to go to bed one day and just never wake up. And that's what I fully expect, is it's something to that degree, because she has done everything she possibly could to live better every day. There is no, I have to wait for the process to work when it comes to quality of life. And that's one of the big pieces of the message, that we're not talking about weight loss. We're talking about quality of life. The success that you see in the process when you change that picture starts immediately. You don't have to wait for it to happen.
This about never being too late. Dr. Berry would say, as long as you can fog a mirror, it's not too late.
Exactly.
And I see the same. I did actually see one Twitter or X, a video on X about a lady that was starting. You could see she was probably 72 or so when she started, and she became ripped. I mean, from being frail and in a wheelchair to being mobile. So this is what it's all about. No, this is what it's also about. Being mobile.
Yes.
Being less prone to injury, being less prone to falls. Because when you are older and you fall, then your outlook is not very good for healing or getting out of that hospital.
Yeah.
But that's not what all of your message is about. Your message about exercising is not just about aesthetics, but about what your body can do.
Can do, absolutely. Or what it won't do or won't allow you to do. And this is, you talked about a good point. When you fall and get hurt, that the older you get, the more devastating that can be. There are so many aspects of fitness that play into that occurrence of those events. And when we think about falls, we often talk about, if you fall, you want to have good bone density and muscle so that you can recover faster and it's not as devastating. I'm not sure why we don't talk about, how about we don't fall at all?
That's a good thought.
Right? Why is falling even considered something that's going to happen? Right? I'm 52 years old now. I haven't fallen down, and I can't remember the last time was that I fell down.
I remember.
Just because I turned 60 or 70 or 80 or 90, why should that expectation change?
I see that when, like, it's a balance issue too.
Exactly.
So
that's my point.
You,
yes, exactly.
Tip against something uneven on the floor, and then that gets you out of balance, your reaction would be to take a step out and catch yourself. And if that doesn't work, then you fall and then you get injured.
Yes.
My case is I slipped on a piece of paper. Like, there was nothing I could do. It just took the leg out under me. At that point, I was still over 300 pounds. So that caused injury.
A lot of damage, yeah.
But losing weight, I learned to deal with it, and now I can be, I'm mobile again. I can't do like everything, but I was going to ask you about clients that you have seen great improvements with, what you already mentioned, your mom.
Yeah, she's the best.
So being able then to move again, that not only puts you in a better place physically, but also emotionally and mentally.
Yes, it does. And you're absolutely right. It's a balance issue, but it's also a speed issue. It's an agility issue. It's a coordination issue. It's a strength issue. It's all of the factors that we define fitness with are a part of the equation. And, we can talk about nutrition all day long. And, we know that nutrition is a great thing. It helps with health improvement. It helps the biological side of the equation. But fitness helps the physiological side of the equation, and you need both of them in order to see improvement. In general, there is so much benefit to looking at how can I improve my body's ability to move in the environment that I inhabit, so that I can determine how I want to engage in the life that I live in that environment. And that is what you're talking about, right? Is so many people have limitations on what they can do. It's hard to walk up and down the stairs in their own home. They can't go in their backyard and garden in their garden, or cut their grass, or play with their dog or grandkids. I see on social media all the time as blooper reels and comedy videos of literal video after video after video of old people trying to do something and falling down and getting hurt. And it's considered normal. It's not normal. It doesn't have to be that way. And that's what this is all about.
Yep. It's that falling part, but it's also the limitation in, for me, we went on day trips, like here in the Atlantic, in the Maritimes. There's a coastal line, and then you can park your car, and then you go to certain spots for views. Every time this view had some stairs, I couldn't go.
Yes.
So my husband went, the kids went, they took the pictures, and I just waited up there. It was awful. Yeah. And now I can go.
Yeah. And then if it's not the stairs, then, I have a walker. I can't walk on the sand. If it's not that, I can walk, but as long as there's no uphill. Like, there's so many different aspects of it that different people have to say no to an experience, or feel isolated because their own body is keeping them apart from the rest of their life. And that's 100% what I want people to get out of, not have to worry about, eliminate that as an issue in their lives, and just go enjoy life and have fun.
And I also want to mention that this is not shaming anyone for not being able to do certain things.
No, this is trying to enable
people, where they are, and then work from there and get them better.
Yes.
Because in your book, the message is it's all in your head.
Yeah.
Or that is the new book. It's all in your head.
It's all in your head. Yes.
That was a smooth transition. Well, not. But it plays a role. What do you mean by that? It's all in your head.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to make sure I want to repeat what you said as far as the shaming. This is not a message that you're doing something wrong, or there's something wrong with you that you need to fix. This is not that at all. This is a message that you are in control, and you can change it if you want to. You have the power to improve your quality of life if you don't think that you're living to your fullest, if you feel like you are limited, if you feel like you have things you want to do that you can't do or are challenging to do right now. So that's what this message is about. Is it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what your past has been. It doesn't matter what you've done in previously, what experience you have. None of that stuff matters. Where do you want to go today? And let's figure out how to get you there. That's what this is about. As far as it all being in your head, that can some people read that and go, wait, again, you're saying this is all my fault? Like I'm just not thinking about it right? Well, kind of, yeah, but that's also not your fault, right? There's so
It's
much
not
that
your
we've
fault.
been,
It's your problem.
yeah, it's not your fault. It's your responsibility.
Responsibility. Yes.
Yes, right. So it's the idea that, there's so many things that we have been ingrained with, indoctrinated into from how to look at health and fitness that are just flat out wrong. That the expectations of where we should be at a certain age is wrong. The understanding of what it means to eat healthy is wrong. The understanding of why we do fitness is wrong. Like everything is backwards. We think food is fuel and it's not. We think exercise is for fat loss and it's not. We think that we're just naturally going to deteriorate and fall apart into nothing as we get older, and that's not true. There's so many different things. And when
There's so many memes right now popping into my head that I can do about just what you just said.
Right. There's the information in your head is wrong. That's one aspect of it. That's why it's in your head. The information is wrong. The second thing is because of that, we think about what we have to do in ways that don't actually make sense. One example is the fat loss. So many people are focused on fat loss or weight loss, and they're not realizing that the excess weight and fat that you're dealing with is a symptom of the whole problem. That's not the thing that's going to make the biggest difference. You can lose fat and it will be life-changing. How long do you keep that fat off the way that you did it? Many people focus on fat loss and they're doing it, trying to do it the quickest, easiest, fastest way they can, which 9 times out of 10 isn't sustainable, and they get the weight back. And the more you yo-yo,
some type of calorie restriction, fancy or not.
Calorie restriction, they're overworking, they're doing cardio 2-3 hours a day, they're trying to get 20,000 steps. Who knows what it may be, but any solution, and this is a hill I'm going to die on, any solution that only focuses on fat loss or weight loss is never going to be sustainable. You can never keep it up for long because you're not
I'm going to follow you on that hill.
Yeah, let's do it. You're not identifying and focusing on the thing that matters, which is metabolic function. Your body doesn't work properly because of the things you've been doing to it, that you may have thought you were doing the right things, but end up not being the right things, and you didn't know what to change. Once you find out what you need to do, now you have all the power in the world to do the right things and see the biggest difference.
I got to say, though, that for many people who want desperately to lose weight, and that's what I did. Actually, I started this because I just didn't want to die.
Sure.
But weight loss obviously was the first thing on my mind.
Absolutely.
Once I started keto, dirty keto, once I started feeling better and looking into the science and looking into why this works and how this works, then I learned, okay, no, this is not just about losing weight. This is about metabolic health. Mm-hmm. I get healthier, and then the weight loss follows, and other health improvements follows, like going off insulin and stuff like that. So absolutely. I'm on that hill right with you.
Good. We need to get more people up here with us.
Yes. So without giving too much away from your book, what would you say, what would be the biggest mental shift that people need to do to start their fitness journey?
Wow, the biggest one? There's so many.
Okay, pick a few.
Pick a few, yeah. I think I have in the book, was it 11 different mental shifts? I should have pulled the book out here. I think one of them we talked about already, and that is you're in control. There's no one coming to save you. This is your journey. And that's the second half of that discussion. Not only is this up to you, and the work doesn't happen until you do the work. Right? That's how this goes. You got to put the time in, you got to put the effort, you got to be willing to experiment with things and make changes and tweak things, and you have to be curious about the process. Use yourself as an experiment. The other part of that, this journey is up to you, is that the journey itself never ends. There is no end to the journey. And this is a really big mind shift. This is another reason why it doesn't matter when you get started, because no matter where you are, if you're 20 years old, if you're 80 years old, the journey doesn't end until you die. What changes in this process is your ability to engage in life on the journey. That's what's important. So there's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years of life that you may have not been engaged in trying to live the best life possible. Once you make that change, you're like, I want to make the best out of what I have left. Now your journey is on you, and it doesn't end until you die. So that means a couple of different things. Number one, there's no rush. Every day is an improvement and is better than the day before. You're automatically doing better. Doing better is all that matters. That is the goal. There is no best. So stop trying to be perfect. Take your time and enjoy the process. So there's a handful of things. There's a lot in there, but that's some of the stuff that I talk about in the book.
I like that because it is not, when you are on a health journey, you're not arriving unless,
Exactly.
of course, you
Yes.
die. That's when you
That's the arrival. When you're dead, that's
the
it. You're
final
at the end.
destination.
Yeah.
But it's about the journey. It's about how it's about health span, not so much lifespan.
Yes.
It's about enjoying life. What I said before, being mobile. When I am in Facebook groups and diabetes groups specifically, they say, well, I want to enjoy my life. I want to eat my cake. And
That's
yeah,
that's
not enjoying life. I mean, you enjoy it in the moment. When you put it in your mouth and use, and then it's gone. And then you might feel good for another minute. And then the guilt sets in.
The guilt and the gas and the bloating and the sugar rush and the sugar crash and everything else. That's not enjoying life.
And
that's
the
enjoying
complications.
cake. Life isn't
not
what you
being
eat.
able to walk,
Yes.
to play with the grandchildren. So this is what I tell my clients. What is their why? Why do they want to do that? If they say, I want to lose weight, that's not enough. They need to have a better why.
Yes.
This other book that you wrote, the Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness Book.
Yes.
I noticed that Ken Berry wrote the foreword. How did you get him to do that?
What? I just asked him. I've known Dr. Berry for a couple of years. I think we met, I want to say 2021 at the first time I spoke publicly in the keto carnivore space at Ketopalooza in Kentucky, or in Kentucky. Watch Autumn Keto.
Autumn Weathers.
Autumn Weather. Autumn invited
Weathers,
me to
Weathers.
Yeah, Weathers. She invited me to speak. I met him there. We talked for a good amount of time. He's the one actually who, we hosted a conference last year. He's the one that kind of convinced me to start my YouTube channel. Like he's played an instrumental role in kind of getting me to bite the bullet and get out there and kind of put my ideas and thoughts and concepts and all this stuff out there into the world. So, about a year after we met, we had maintained, correspondence, and I started working on the book shortly after that event, actually, and then asked him to do the forward for it, and he did it. So, yeah, we're very grateful for him doing that. And that book was really where I started pulling together the concepts in a way that made sense to me about what works on this journey. And it was kind of the stepping stone to my recent book, which just came out a couple weeks ago, that kind of really defines everything in much more detail and walks through the step-by-step process of what the method is that I use and how we pull fitness, nutrition, mindset together to make everything work. So, that was that book. You're going to see, if you get the book that just came out, Body Confident, and if you get Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness, you will see some many parallels, because the Ultimate Ketogenic Fitness was kind of the toddler version of Body Confident. It's kind of like where I was still getting that how is all this working? Let me get this out there and start talking about these things. And then body confidence, kind of I would honestly say it's probably the teenage young adult version, because I have more
The
stuff.
evolved version came out
Yeah.
now.
The
But
no,
you,
the
like you
adult
said,
the
it is
adult
a
version,
journey,
I think the
right?
adult version is still yet to come out, because
Yes.
there's still more. There's so much more that we need to talk about. Yeah.
And it is a journey. And my principal had like this thing on her wall where it said, if you stop getting better, you stop being good. Something like loosely translated,
Okay.
that was from German.
Hmm.
And I agree, because you always want to improve. There's um you can say, I want to lose X amount of weight, and then you lost that weight, or I want to earn X amount of money, and then you reach that goal. But health isn't such a destination. You always need to work on it to maintain it,
Yeah.
or to get better. And if you stop working on it, then you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
This sitting is the new smoking. That's actually true, because if you
Absolutely.
stop moving, these enzymatic processes stop working.
And it's even more insidious, because it's not just biological. With smoking, it's biological that will eventually get to a point where there are physiological manifestations. But when you stop moving, it's immediately both biological and physiological and
Yes.
neurological. So
Yes.
there's so many aspects to the importance of moving. And I don't want to discount the importance of nutrition either, because they work with each other. And if you want the most out of your nutrition, you have to move your body. If you want the most out of your fitness, you have to eat right. So if you're trying to optimize your quality of life, you have to take both of them into consideration at the same time. Don't wait to do one versus the other. That's another mistake I see a lot of people do. While I'm getting my diet right, I'll work out when I lose the weight. No, start doing something physically challenging today. Don't wait.
And it doesn't have to be much. It can be
does.
as little as sitting up and down 30 times
Exactly.
before you eventually sit down, or getting just a little bit of movement in every hour. You can set your watch and it'll remind you just to get
Yes.
up. But I read this today, if you don't move for 5 hours straight, you can cancel I think 90-minute walk, the benefits of that walk. So
Interesting.
yeah, it was a walk or something, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so your mission is, yes, I can. Now, when people say, but no, I can't, I really can't, what do you tell them?
Then they're absolutely right.
Oh, this, like, whether you say you can or you can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
But if they come to you for advice, what do you tell them?
Yeah. There's always something that you can do. I've not met anybody in my over 12 years coaching that didn't have something that they could start doing to improve an aspect of fitness in their life. I don't care if you are. I've worked with people who are bedridden, right, in a cast from their hip to their toes, who can still figure out things to do in the bed to improve some aspect of their health and fitness. There's some movement you can do. There's some isometric or mobility exercises you can work on to improve your core strength while you're laying in bed, to improve your shoulder mobility, to improve your neck strength and posture. Like there is always something that you can do. Always.
Actually, some of my back exercises I do in bed.
Yeah.
Because it's so comfortable. It's
Right.
the stretching and anyway, it's enough. But I'm sure that you in your life must have been in situations where you said, I can't push through this. What did you do?
Those situations, interestingly enough, had nothing to do with nutrition and fitness. There have been
But doesn't
times
it translate the same concept?
it does, and that's where I was going. I mean, there has been a couple of times maybe on the nutrition side where I was experimenting or doing something to kind of have some data, using myself as the experiment to kind of see how things work, where maybe I was doing a high deficit of food or fasting for long periods of time, or doing something that I was like, why am I doing this? This sucks. But not as a general progression of my journey. The fitness and the health and the nutrition stuff has always just been I've been very pragmatic about, look, I'm trying to improve certain things. I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to remove these things from my life. If I don't do this, it's not going to happen. So what's the sense in complaining about it? That's kind of how I think about things. And that translates into the other aspects. There have been times where, personally, things that I'm going through, relationship-wise, business-wise, work-wise, family-wise, whatever it may be, that are very stressful and very challenging. And there are times it's like, I don't know if I can take any more. But I really believe that if I didn't have the habit and the experience that following a fitness and nutrition plan has given me, that those things would have been a lot harder to deal with. Number one, from the health perspective, if I was going through those things at the same time as I was already unhealthy and 70 pounds heavier and already depressed and already with IBS and already with urgent bowels and all the other things that I had to deal with in my life, it would have just been a stack on stack on stack of stress from the physical and the mental side of things that would have just broken me. I don't know where I'd be. So that's one aspect of it. But because I was in shape, because I did have endurance, I did have energy and stamina and muscle mass and physical ability and an outlet that I could go to and get rid of some of the stress and raise my endorphins and get that dopamine hit from working out during those times. I think they play a huge role in that factor. And then from the mental aspect of, one of my favorite things when it comes to fitness to talk about is how nothing we do in the gym has anything to do with what we do in the gym. It is 100% about everything that we do in our everyday life, whether it's physical ability or mental preparation for the stresses that life puts on us. When we go to the gym and we know, here's what my workout looks like, this is going to suck, but I'm doing it anyways. We are building a habit of facing challenges and overcoming them. And when life gives us challenges, we now have a pattern that we can lean on how to deal with it.
I like that because a lot of challenges come from stress caused by procrastination. So there is
yes.
there is a problem and I have to do it. But there's no one sitting right behind me and telling me, do it.
Exactly.
So it's going to sit there. And there's two options. I can do it and get it done with, or I can just let it go. And both options will have an immediate release because if I let it go and don't do it, I don't have to think about it. I feel better. And obviously, it's not going to solve the problem. It's just going to build up the stress because next time I think about it, it's going to be worse and worse and worse. This is a stress we cannot walk away from. I can go to the gym and run and then feel better about it, but it's still going to be there. Yeah. So I can see how facing challenges in the gym will help you actually procrastinate less.
Yeah. Well, and procrastinate less, get things done, be willing to try things and set goals that you never thought you would be able to try or that you would ever set. There's the overlap in the microcosm of the gym experience in what real life is about is astonishing when you really sit down and take a look at it.
I got that experience when I put my little kids, well, they're now all grown, but when my children were little, they were all in Taekwondo.
Okay.
And I realized that there was a lot of training, there was a lot of grueling exercise, there was a lot about respect and discipline, and all that translated to their schoolwork, all that translated to respect for people in other situations. Yeah, I absolutely see how that translates. And the other part is obviously the stress that builds up in the body where, I don't know, 1,000 years ago when we were standing in front of a tiger and he would put us under stress. We want to run or fight and get rid of these hormones, stress hormones. But now we don't. We just sit.
We just sit. Well, and the overall stress load, we talk about the allostatic stress load, hormetic stress, et cetera, and, de-stress, eustress, all the different stress topics, right? And the stress load that we see today comes from so many places, and it's non-stop. Right. Back in the day, not that I lived there, so I don't know, but theoretically we talk about, it was a load of stress that was lower in existence, and then you might have spikes of stress when you're on a hunt or when you do have an animal chasing you or something is happening that you have to respond to, but it wasn't nearly the same thing from an environmental stress load, right? You talk about EMF, you talk about toxins in the air, we talk about pollution, all of the different things that we have in the world today that we didn't have thousands of years ago, to the fact that we're working, in environments that require our attention, in some cases, 10 hours a day.
And we are constantly immersed. Everyone has their phone.
Exactly.
In their hand. Like if you are at a red light, people check their phone. They're constantly immersed.
Yeah, there's an engagement and activity of the mind and the body that is subconscious in many cases, but it is so consistently on that the level of stress that we deal with as a human body today is unprecedented. And if we don't do something to fix that or to address that or mitigate that in our own lives, there's no, I did an interview with Dr. Tro a few weeks ago on the Low Carb MD podcast. And he, we talk about, I often talk about how I think people start dying in their 40s. And he says, I think he thinks people start dying in their 20s and 30s. Like our bodies and our minds are breaking down so early.
It's different now, because I remember when I was little, there was no distraction. There were no phones. When we were out, we were just out and playing.
Yeah, same here.
There was nothing. The TV wasn't on all day, and even if it was, we weren't allowed to watch. So
yeah, you couldn't watch TV. You had to go outside till the sun came down, and I was in that era as well, where it's like Saturday morning, I might watch Saturday morning cartoons, but then as soon as that was over at like 10 o'clock, you're going outside and I don't want to see you till dinner. You can bring your friends in, get a snack at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but then you're going back outside. You're playing in the yard. You're going in the woods. You're running around the neighborhood, whatever it may be. And that just gone. I don't see that anymore.
I know. And my kids, I didn't do that with them either. So I don't know what shifted, whether it's helicopter or bulldozer parenting or...
I haven't heard bulldozer parenting.
Oh, so helicopter parenting is when you hover over your children and make sure they're safe and everything. Bulldozer parenting is when you move every obstacle out of the way.
Oh, that's so bad. Yes.
I know.
That is so bad. I heard somebody talk about that. I didn't hear that phrase, but they said when parents focus on trying to make the world safe for their kids instead of their kids ready to handle the world.
Yes, and children need obstacles.
Yes.
Like the obstacle is the way. They need challenges. They need all that. So
yes. Wow, that's a whole nother discussion.
That's a whole nother discussion. So when people want to find you, like your book is on Amazon, obviously, and I'm going to put the link in the description.
Thank you.
But online, where do they find you?
Yeah, if you just Google Coach Bronson, all my stuff should come up. Coach.Bronson on YouTube, Coach.Bronson on Instagram. My website is CoachBronson.com. Those would probably be the biggest three places. And then obviously all my books are on Amazon. I do have the first book I wrote is called The Meat Life, if anybody's interested, on my fledgling attempt at book writing. It was basically, I wrote it after about 8 months of being carnivore in 2018. Because I couldn't find any information on the carnivore diet in 2018.
You were an early adopter then.
I couldn't find anything. So I said, well, I'm going to find everything I can possibly find and put it in a book. So that's what that book is. It's small, it's a quick read, but it's kind of cool to look at it now because a lot of the information still stands today. Outside of the chapter I did on macros and nutrition, everyone should just ignore that and tear it out of the book and pretend it doesn't exist because I had no idea what I was talking about then.
Well, you were on your journey, so
Exactly.
Did we miss anything?
Oh my gosh, we didn't miss anything because I think every one of these that I do there's a message that's meant to come out, and I think it always does. We could do 10 more of these and it will be a different message each time, and I think someone will benefit from it. So you tell me when you want me to come back on and we'll just do it again.
Awesome. Okay, so thanks for being here, Coach Bronson. Thanks for our viewers for watching, and we'll see you next time.